Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So yesterday MCOC team dropped a new announcement basically regarding Alliance War Season 15. So currently we are on Season 14, so this will take effect basically the next season, which starts I believe in the middle of January. And what this announcement says basically that we have updated defensive tactics, and some of them got slightly tuned down or retuned, I would say, and some of them got kind of buffed up. Now, about the change in defensive tactics, overall, I kind of don't mind too much, because some of them seemed like they're going to definitely be more problematic, but at the same time, we all will have to deal with them exactly the same way, shape, or fashion. And so long as they're not kind of drastically destroying all of the attackers, we will have our chance to kind of play into them. And I'm not gonna try to judge them overly hard on that, and we're just gonna see what happens with those. But we also are getting a quite substantial rewards overhaul, and there are quite a lot of changes happening in between the tiers. The main idea for the changes in the rewards is we are getting more 5 and 6 star shards, and at the top of the rankings basically you get double of the shards that you used to get, and then it scales a bit differently towards the lower rankings. Additionally, we are getting more tier 5 basic catalyst fragments than we used to. The comparisons here we can see on the screen right now. And I definitely must say that for lower tiers in Alliance Wars, the upgrade of rewards doesn't even really seem to be worth it. Like when you take a look at Gold 2, there is absolutely no increase in 6-star shards. The 5-star shards are doubled though, so fair enough, from 4k to 8k. But for instance, TFIB, they used to get 4,500, now they're getting 9,000, right? But they also used to have 2 of those Alliance War crystals, which basically guaranteed minimum of 1,500 TFIB frags as a minimum, so that put it basically at 7,500 TFIB frags, and now it's 9,000 TFIB frags. So there is not really all that big of an increase. Now in a later kind of like higher ranks, we can definitely see the increase being bigger. Also, what seems to be the case, they're kind of simplifying these rewards. Alliance War Season Crystal seems to be no longer a thing at all. And for that one move in general, I do like it. I do like it a lot. I did not enjoy that RNG element in season rewards that you earn together with your team at all. And that created that disparity, especially in kind of like lower ranks, where those RNG crystals could completely make or break somebody's day. And if both of you have worked equally hard, there is no reason for either of you to have different rewards. So the fact that 30 members of Alliance are going to get exactly the same rewards, I'm definitely all for, and I think that was a long needed change. However, with that, it also kind of cosmetically hides a lot of this rewards revamp, and it makes it look kind of better than it was, to be fair. For instance, if you used to get 1.5 tier 2 alphas and some fragments, and then these crystals quite often gave you like a full tier 2 alpha, and now if instead of 1.5 and those crystals you get 2 tier 2 alphas, for instance, then it actually quite often will work out as less. So in many of the tiers, in fact, you're not really getting a significant resource increase. And that is one thing that is definitely kind of hiding in there, especially affecting more so the lower ranks. There are also quite few really weird things happening with it. But before we get to that, basically they have also increased kind of like the lower distribution of tier 5 class catalyst fragment crystals. And now more alliances will have slightly higher access to it. However, as generous it might seem, if you still think it through, if you're getting 2% crystals a season, which effectively basically is going to last 6 weeks, 4 weeks is the season, 2 weeks is the off season. So you're getting 6% of a random class. So let's do a statistical average, 1% of a tier 5 CC per 6 weeks. So in that rate, it would only take you 600 weeks if you rely on Alliance War to on average form first full tier 5 CC. So it's still kind of like very scarce, definitely if you're in platinum range. And that is a big problem with these things, because Kabam is valuing these crystal fragments, catalyst fragments, so high that they give out such small amounts that realistically, when you open 720 shards and you need 45,000 of a specific class, then you pretty much don't really care about it and you're somewhat emotionless to it. At least that's how it has been in Masters or top 3 about these rewards. You kind of pop them, they're there, but they don't really mean much because you're still so far away from forming these tier 5 CCs, especially kind of like when you check some of the classes where you don't have too much of these crystals in. So that is like a really kind of like a weak point, I believe, and it also kind of makes it hard to be enthusiastic if you're now going to be getting 6% of a tier 5 CC instead of a 4% or 2% like you used to. So although that definitely is an increase and technically it's a very large increase, realistically it doesn't really get you wowed or doesn't get you excited about it. So all that keeping in mind, pretty much until you get to like Platinum 1 or Masters level in the new reward system, there is not all that much to be excited about aside from like increased amount of crystal shards that you're going to be getting. Other than that, the TFIB for many of the tiers hardly goes up, and then yeah. So it's one of those because it does not seem to be overly huge overhaul for anything below kind of like Platinum 1. Now, when you go in Masters rewards though, then there is definitely a huge increase in the amount of tier 5 CC frags that you are getting from 3 to, I believe, like 8 or 7 of these crystals. And then obviously there's also quite a big increase in tier 5 basics. And that is quite huge. That is going to make them a lot more available. However, once again, Alliance War is not going to get close to the amount of tier 5 basic you can earn from AQ and Glory Store and things like that. And that you can see here definitely, because if the entire season basically for finishing in Masters is going to give you 2 tier 5 basics, when playing Alliance War, if you're in comparable level in Alliance Quest, then you basically get 3, 4 to 5 tier 5 basics and the same period of time it takes for Alliance War seasons. So when it comes to the War season rewards, it's definitely not going to be your major source of tier 5 basic fragments, but hey, increase is always nice, right? The bigger kind of like noticeable increase definitely up top is the shards, because all of the shards are doubled, which is kind of cool. You get more 6 stars. If you have been pushing to the Masters and stuff like that. And obviously the tier 5 class catalyst. So instead of 10% for first place, now you're going to be getting 25%, which is already kind of like somewhat substantial and measurable amount. Second place is getting 20% instead of 8%, which is also a huge increase. And third place is getting 16%, I believe, instead of 6% of tier 5 CC, which is again a big increase and is going to kind of speed it up for the top alliances in kind of forming these tier 5 CCs. However, it's still not immense kind of amount. Again, to put in comparison, top spots in gifting event basically can walk away with a fully formed tier 5 class catalyst. Here, even if you finish 4 months in a row and technically get a fully formed tier 5 class catalyst, because 4 times quarter basically makes a full one, they would be still scattered throughout the 4 classes. So even though it definitely will accelerate, it's still going to take some months realistically, or if you would only look at the tier 5 CC you get from Alliance War, probably closer to a year for top players to kind of like form their first one from their Alliance War rewards. But obviously combine that with gifting, with offers, with everything else, we're going to see a relatively large increase of rank 3 6 stars probably within a couple of months. Now, one of the things that definitely struck me as the weirdest is the fact that there is apparently no need for Masters alliances to get any more Tier 2 Alpha from these season rewards, and also no more Tier 4 Basics. And now that kind of leads me to speculate in one of the two things. Either they are planning to make the tier 2 alpha and tier 4 basic like an even bigger bottleneck for top tier players, which it currently is. Like, honest to God, I cannot use the tier 5 basics that I am able to earn because I'm constantly struggling with tier 4 basics and tier 2 alpha. And that is like for me personally, currently already quite big bottleneck. And with this new reward structure, when you're only getting tier 5 basics and tier 5 class catalysts in your rank rewards and no tier 2 alphas, no tier 4 basics. Okay, tier 4 basics you get quite a bit elsewhere, but tier 2 alpha is definitely one of those things that you always want to see present in all of the top tier rewards still. And having them absent here starting from masters is quite weird. So again, either they are planning to kind of like use it as a bottleneck and a kind of control catalyst perhaps, or they are simply going to be adding new and alternate ways how you can earn these catalysts. I have a slight suspicion that we might be seeing uncollected now but Cavalier monthly quest difficulty, or there might be some other rewards structure change quite soon, because other than that it doesn't really make sense that there is no tier 4 basics and no tier 2 alphas in these rank rewards, and it definitely is a bit odd. So that is most likely going to be a resource that you're gonna have to end up earning elsewhere. Either there's gonna be new monthly events and Cavalier difficulty stuff, or there's gonna be something else happening in the game, I think. But you're gonna have to wait and see on that one, because if that's not the case, and if they're trying to kind of like squish on those resources that are already bottlenecking a lot of endgame players, then it's going to be a quite interesting situation. But that being said, overall, what do you think about this revamp of Alliance War Season Rewards? Well, I think for many of the mid to lower tier players, it's more or less purely cosmetic and not much has changed to them, especially basically if you're in lower platinum grades and below that, this revamp hardly means anything, because as I explained before, you might get some more 5-star shards, but when it comes to tier 5 basics and tier 12 fragments, they just are basically made to look a bit different, because the removal of those Alliance for Season reward crystals obviously automatically reduces the amount of tier 5 basics you get. So if they are giving you 9k instead of 4.5k now, but you don't get the crystals, so you end up with close to the same thing. Now, platinum level alliances, though, we'll definitely see a bigger rewards increase when it comes to the crystal shards, even though, again, it's not that major. Realistically, you do not get a large portion of your 6-star or 5-star crystal shards from Alliance War Seasons. You get them from monthly content, from opening your lower stars and basically just duplicating them, so on and so forth. So it's not going to be a huge kind of like tempo increase, but it's definitely going to speed up the acquisition of 5 and 6 stars to a degree, so the game is kind of like moving upwards a bit. When it comes to rank up resources, GFIB is increased, definitely, I think, to like Plat 1, Plat 2 still, and that is going to help obviously get more champions at maxed out 5 stars or rank 2 6 stars, so we're going to see more stacked rosters quite soon. When it comes to tier 5 class catalyst fragments, again, I think it's fairly minuscule for everybody below kind of like Platinum 1 currently, or Platinum 2, and it's not going to make much of an effect, and it's not going to really make a big impact for people for a really long time. Therefore, nobody is going to be particularly enthusiastic about that. Now, Masters, Platinum 1 Masters and Top 3 war rewards are a substantial speed increase towards kind of like the progression of rank 3s. So I think because of that, first quarter of 2020, we're going to see many profiles with 2 and 3 rank 3 6 stars when we put it in combination of gifting event and everything else that we have accumulated so far. So I think that meta is about to shift, and this is going to be the first reward revamp that's kind of going to showcase it and speed it up. I also kind of expect AQ rewards to get revamped once again within a month or two, because there is no tier 5 CC in there at all yet, and I doubt they're going to leave that for long. and possibly the fact that there is no tier 2 alphas and tier 4 basics mean that there's going to be new event difficulty coming or something completely entirely different, but still something that awards tier 4 basics, tier 2 alphas on more frequent and stable basis. So I think this kind of just foreshadows quite a lot of changes coming to the contest, and putting this together with a huge amount of rewards in the gifting event kind of led me to believe that the gifting event was kind of like last blowout, where tier 5 class catalysts still had this immense value, and they are going to be more and more common quite shortly, slowly but steadily, by revamping all of these rewards. So yeah, that is what I think. I think there's going to be a lot of changes in the contest, and I think that this is going to be the only kind of first noticeable thing that leads us into the progression level of rank 3 6 stars, more commonly accessible throughout the content. And yeah, so there's definitely some stuff to look forward to, some guesses, some conspiracies, some theories, and so on and so forth. So definitely stay tuned about what's happening with all the other rewards, what's going to be changing, because I definitely do have a feeling that the game is kind of like sliding into the rank 3 territory. But that will do for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think about the rewards here. And yeah, hit that like, sub button and all the other buttons if you enjoyed today's video. See ya!